There is a heavy silence that comes in the deepest hours of the night, a silence that carries the weight of every tear you have ever held back and every sigh you have ever stifled. It is in these moments, when the world is asleep and you are left alone with the rhythm of your own breathing, that the reality of pain makes itself known. Perhaps it is a physical ache that has become a constant companion, a dull throbbing in the joints, or a sharp fire in the nerves. Or perhaps it is the kind of pain that no medicine can touch, the hollow ache of a broken heart, the suffocating weight of disappointment, the paralyzing chill of anxiety, or the quiet, gnawing exhaustion of a soul that has been carrying too much for too long. You know this feeling intimately. You know what it is like to look at the ceiling and wonder how much more you can endure, to feel as though the world is asking for more than you have left to give. We are all united by this invisible thread of suffering. It is the one thing that spares no one, neither the beggar in the street nor the king on his throne. It is the great equalizer, the universal language of the human experience. But what if I told you that this pain, as real and as sharp as it feels, is not your enemy? What if the very thing that feels like it is breaking you is actually the forge in which your greatest strength is being tempered? To understand this, we must travel back across the bridge of time, leaving behind the neon lights and the digital noise of our modern world, and step into the flickering torchlight of a cold military camp on the edge of the Roman frontier. Imagine, if you will, the year 170 AD. The air is biting, a damp cold that seeps through wool and leather and settles deep in the marrow. You are standing on the banks of the Danube River, where the edge of civilization meets the wild, dark forests of the north. Around you, the sounds of an empire at war are muffled by the night, the occasional clink of a sentry's armor, the low murmur of horses, the crackle of a dying fire. And there, in a simple tent that offers little protection against the elements, sits a man. He is old, his face lined with the impossible burdens of a world in chaos. His eyes are tired, yet they burn with a quiet, steady light. This is Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man on the face of the earth. He has at his command legions that can level cities and wealth that can buy nations. Yet, as he sits hunched over a small wooden table, dipping a reed pen into ink, he is not writing orders for execution or decrees of conquest. He is writing to himself. He is struggling just as you are. He is in pain just as you are. He has lost children, 8 of them buried before their time. He has been betrayed by his most trusted generals. He is suffering from a chronic illness that makes every meal a struggle and every night a battle for breath. He is surrounded by the stench of plague and the constant threat of war. And yet, in the pages of his private journal, which the world would later come to know as the Meditations, he does not utter a single word of complaint. He does not ask, "Why me?" He does not rail against the gods or curse the unfairness of his fate. Instead, he speaks to his own soul with the gentleness of a father and the firmness of a commander. He tells himself that pain is merely a guest, and that while we cannot always control who enters our home, we are the absolute masters of how we treat them. He looks at the flame of his lamp and realizes that the fire does not complain when it is given damp wood. It simply consumes it and grows brighter. He understands that you too are like that fire. Everything that happens to you, every setback, every insult, every moment of physical agony is fuel. If you resist it, if you scream at the wood for being wet, you only extinguish your own light. But if you accept it, if you wrap your will around the circumstance, you turn the obstacle into the path. Marcus knew that the secret to a life of peace was not the absence of pain, but the mastery of perception. He understood that there is a profound difference between the sensation of pain and the suffering of the mind. The sensation is a message from the body. It is a flash of lightning in the sky. It is objective. It is a fact of nature. But the suffering, the "this is terrible," the "I can't stand this," the "life is unfair," that is a story we tell ourselves. It is an added weight that we choose to carry. When you feel the sting of a sharp word from a colleague, or the crushing weight of a deadline you cannot meet, or the lonely silence of a house that used to be full, Marcus would ask you, what part of this is the event, and what part is your opinion of it? He believed that if you can strip away the judgment, the pain remains, but the suffering vanishes. It is the dignity of silence. It is the realization that your inner citadel remains unbreached unless you open the gates yourself. Think of the modern world you inhabit, with its endless noise and its celebration of victimhood. We are taught to broadcast our grievances, to vent our frustrations, and to seek validation for our misery. We believe that by complaining, we are somehow offloading our burden. But Marcus would tell you the opposite. He would say that every time you complain, you are leaking strength. You are reinforcing the idea that you are a victim of your circumstances rather than the master of your response. When you complain about the weather, or the traffic, or the government, or the person who broke your heart, you are giving away your power. You are saying, "My happiness depends on things I cannot control." And that, to a Stoic, is the only true tragedy. Marcus spent his days dealing with the pettiness of the Roman Senate and the brutality of the battlefield, yet he reminded himself every morning that the people he would meet would be ungrateful, violent, treacherous, and envious. He didn't complain about them because he knew that to expect a fig tree not to produce figs is madness, and to expect the world not to produce pain is equally insane. Pain is a part of the design. To reject it is to reject nature itself. Instead, he practiced the art of responding rather than reacting. A reaction is a knee-jerk impulse. It is the scream when you are burned. A response is a conscious choice. It is the steady hand that applies the bandage. You might be sitting there today feeling overwhelmed by the pressures of your own life. Perhaps your workplace feels like a battlefield where your efforts go unnoticed and your stress levels are reaching a breaking point. Perhaps your family life is strained and the people who should be your sanctuary have become the source of your greatest friction. Marcus would tell you to look closer. He would ask you to see these challenges not as burdens, but as weights in a gymnasium. You do not go to the gym and complain that the weights are heavy. You go there specifically because they are heavy. The weight is the tool of your growth. If life were easy, if it were all soft beds and warm sunlight, your soul would grow weak and flabby. It is the cold wind that makes the skin tough. It is the resistance that builds the muscle. When you are faced with a moment of intense pressure, Marcus invites you to pause. Do not let your mind run wild with what-ifs and if-onlys. Bring your focus back to the present moment, to the very task at hand. Can you endure this next minute? Yes. And the minute after that? Yes. We often suffer more in imagination than in reality because we try to bear the weight of the entire future all at once. Marcus teaches us to break time down into its smallest parts. You do not have to endure a lifetime of pain. You only have to endure this breath. And in this breath, you are still here. You are still whole. There is a quiet power in endurance without self-pity. There is a royalty in the person who can suffer in silence, not out of a sense of martyrdom, but out of a deep respect for their own character. Imagine the strength of a person who, despite a failing body or a crumbling career, continues to show up with kindness, continues to do their duty, and continues to find beauty in the small things. This is the goal of the Stoic path. It is not to become a statue of stone, unfeeling and cold. Marcus felt deeply. His journals are filled with a profound sense of humanity. But he refused to let his feelings dictate his actions. He knew that his emotions were like the weather, they pass, but his character was like the mountain, it remains. When you find yourself on the verge of a breakdown, when the tears are hot behind your eyes, remember that you have within you a spark of the divine. You are a part of the vast interlocking web of the universe. Nothing can happen to you that is not part of the nature of the whole. If the universe requires you to pass through a season of darkness, then pass through it with your head held high. Do not drag your feet. Do not cry out for mercy from a world that is only doing what it must do. Marcus Aurelius lived a life that most would envy, yet he found his greatest peace in the things that anyone can possess: discipline, perspective, and a quiet heart. He would tell you that the bed you sleep in is no different from the straw he slept on in the military camps, provided your mind is at rest. He would tell you that the criticism you face on social media is no different from the whispers of the Roman court, provided you know your own truth. He would tell you that the uncertainty of your future is no different from the uncertainty of an empire's fate, provided you trust in the order of nature. Pain is not an enemy to be defeated. It is a teacher to be heard. It tells you where you are still attached to things that do not matter. It shows you where your ego is still brittle. It points to the areas of your life where you are still seeking outside validation rather than internal strength. When you stop complaining, you start listening. And when you start listening, you hear the voice of your own resilience.
As you move forward from this moment, carry with you the image of that lonely emperor in his tent. See him putting down his pen, blowing out the lamp, and closing his eyes, ready to face whatever the next day brings, whether it be victory or death, health or sickness. He does not fear the morning because he has already conquered himself. You have that same power. The world may break your body. It may take your possessions. It may even bruise your reputation. But it can never touch your ability to choose your own character. It can never force you to complain. It can never rob you of the dignity of your silence. You are stronger than you know, deeper than you feel, and more resilient than you have ever dared to believe. The pain you feel today is the soil in which the wisdom of tomorrow is planted. Water it with patience, sunlight it with perspective, and watch as you transform from someone who suffers life into someone who masters it. Take a deep breath now. Feel the air enter your lungs, a gift of life that continues regardless of your struggles. Feel the ground beneath your feet, a reminder that you are supported by the earth itself. The path of the Stoic is not an easy one, but it is a path of ultimate freedom. It is the freedom from being a slave to your circumstances. It is the freedom to be calm in the center of the storm. If this journey across centuries has spoken to your soul, if you feel a flicker of that ancient fire beginning to burn within you, then you are ready. Do not let this feeling fade with the end of these words. Take this strength into your next hour, into your next challenge, into your next moment of pain. Choose silence over complaint. Choose action over despair. Choose the inner citadel over the crumbling walls of the world. If you found strength in these reflections, I invite you to reflect on your own journey. How can you turn your current obstacle into a path? How can you replace one complaint today with a moment of quiet gratitude? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words might be the very strength someone else needs to hear. If this message resonated with you, please like the video and share it with a friend who is fighting a silent battle. And to continue this journey of timeless wisdom and discover how the ancient masters can help you navigate the modern world, subscribe to Wisdom of Stoic. Together, we will learn not just to survive the fire,
but to be the fire. Until next time, stay strong, stay calm, and remember, you are the master of your own soul.